National Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana, the National Security Advisor Hermogenes Esperon, and other members of the Cabinet, honorable members of the Senate, General Benjamin Madrigal Jr., Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, Lieutenant General Rozzano, Briguez, and other major service commanders, the officers, enlisted personnel, and civilian employees of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. Ang staff ko, may nagkulang kayo. So, Senator Bongo, sir. To Senator Ronald De La Rosa, sir. The other distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I am glad to join the men and women of the Philippine Air Force as we celebrate its 72nd founding anniversary. On behalf of the Filipino people, I extend our heartfelt gratitude to our military personnel and civilian employees for your selfless service to the nation. I acknowledge your unwavering commitment to the sworn duty to protect our territorial lines of defense through aerial reconnaissance and maritime patrol missions in the West Philippine Sea. And of course, which is really ours, the Philippine rice. Also noteworthy are your efforts in securing Malampaya natural gas plant off the coast of Palawan, which is ours. Our Air Force has been instrumental in the success of our government's effort in providing rescue and relief operations to areas devastated by calamities in the aerial observation of calamities stricken also in airlifting of the assisting personnel, victims, and relief goods. Let me take this opportunity to acknowledge your very crucial role in our military's internal security operations by providing air assets and close personal support to your ground troops during engagements with the Abu Sayyaf and other local terrorist groups. I assure you that this administration will continue to pursue all efforts to enhance your capabilities against these threats through modernization and capacity building initiatives such as the military pilot training and your conduct of our qualified student officers, thereby assuring a strong future for our Air Force. On modernization, I am pleased to know that the acquisition of an air defense radar system and an FA-50PH flight simulator earlier this year will be supplemented by the expected delivery of 6 A-29B Super Toscano aircraft and other air defense surveillance system. The Philippine Air Force will also receive substantial assets, 16 projects over 139 billion from the second horizon of the revised AFP modernization. This includes the procurement of utility vehicles, drones, and other command and control fixed-wing aircraft, among others. If I may just go out of, I am hoping and praying that before my remaining 3 years will expire, that all of these things, especially the labeled horizon projects of yours, will be completed during my term. I want to leave the office of the presidency with an assurance to myself that I leave the functions, pass it on to the next, whoever he will be, na sana naman, he will also take care of the requirements of the armed forces because it is a continuing one. And during my time, I have never said no to any of the commanders and to Delfin Lorenzana at kay Secretary Esperon, all the things that they wanted for our armed forces, pati ang police. Gusto ko lang kumpletuhin yan, baka ang susunod sa akin would not be a fellow of like-minded. Kanya-kanya ang tao eh. He might have other priorities. I'm not saying that we have exceedingly plenty of money, but God has been kind to us. We have almost the money for the things that we need that are immediate and urgent. Alam ko na yung backlog sa back pay amounts to 3 trillion. You know, I will leave you with this statement. Maybe you'll remember me when I'm no longer around. That unless we have law and order in this country, every corner of it, at for as long as na wala tayong katapusan sa graft and corruption, walang mangyari sa bayan na to. Tell you, even if you give me 5 terms, gratis, and the system remains, and the practice of corruption, which is already embedded in all of the government structures. Every table there, basta dadaan ng papel, meron talagang kalukuhan. Hindi naman lahat, pero karamihan. It's almost a plague already affecting our country for so many decades, from one administration to the other. There was this meeting last night with the cabinet members here present. Sinabi ko talaga sa kanila, I do not want delay. Delay is what is eating, eroding this government. Pagka pabalik-balikin mo yung tao, even the register of deeds or civil registrar sa birth certificate, nandoon talaga yung little corruption. Ang malaki dito sa itaas, as I have told you before, pitsi lang yan sa baba. The corruption lies in the higher echelons of government. But I can say to you that the cabinet members, most of them of late, are almost all military men retired. Why? Kasi gusto kong tignan ninyo. Because I know that the armed forces and the police will have to decide one day, somehow. Do not do it, please, during my term. I've told you before, all you have to do, kung ayaw din niyo ako, do not bring your weapons and mechanized irons there. Just call me and we'll have coffee, and I'm ready to say, it's yours for the taking. Kasi pag ganito palagi, there has to be a point of what generation mauubos yung pasensya, I really cannot tell. It behooves upon me to be prudent. I am not egging anyone to go violent, but there must be some junction there in the life of a Filipino, whether in this generation or in the next generation, that you'll have to decide, because there is really a need of change. I tried. Somehow I succeed. Other things I fail because of the structure. Nakatali tayong lahat. Pareho kayo. You can only do so much here. You cannot complain over that boundary. As president, I can go hard. But there's always the injunction. Itong mga korte minsan, I hope you stop the practice of issuing injunctions, lalo na sa mga kasong kriminal. Do not do that as a matter of course. There has to be not only a semblance, a clear and convincing evidence before you issue left and right, stopping this government. Do not do that. Do not hurry up things, because I know it is always pera-pera yan. Injunctions are really for free, either stopping or prohibiting a government entity or persons from doing it, or a mandamus compelling us to do something which we think are really, really very wrong. I am on my last 3 years, and I would just like to, two things. We'll have to destroy the enemy. There is war. And I said over and over again for the nth time before so many crowds, do not destroy my country because I will kill you. Do not destroy the youth of this land, for we need them for the tomorrow of the Republic of the Philippines. Do not reduce the society of ours to a level of inutility that most of the Filipinos are contaminated and cannot do anything, because once their brains are blasted out of reality, they become criminals in the craving, and when the monkey rides on their back, we compound the problem of an addict which has to be taken care of a criminal which we have to decide whether to kill or not, and the family left behind So the human rights must be able to understand beyond the life of a carcass there lying of a criminal. And you want me to worry about the psychological, social, political, economic impact of what's happening. There are plenty of dysfunctional families. If the head of the family goes, and most of them are poor, the family collapses. It becomes dysfunctional, and if they are studying, they no longer go to school, and of the children are forced to marry at a young age because they have to survive. Thereby, not only compounding but multiplying what ails this country. It's not only human rights for a criminal. It's the human rights of the living persons behind, of one who is alive but is dead to the world. And the misery, the miseducation, the hunger, and all of these things. And you worry a son of a bitch who is there because he's a criminal. Telling you, said before, do not destroy this country. You will end up in a cemetery. That I can assure you. Not during my watch. Not during my time. Just wait for 3 years. I'm addressing myself not to you, the audience now, but I'm addressing myself to the nation because the guys there at the back are streaming this event maybe live. Time and again. Do not force my hand into it. I'm warning you. I can take personal insults. The taxi drivers and all of these guys there outside, they can always say, putang ina Duterte, he's a good-for-nothing president. I will accept that. But when it comes to the welfare of my country, you know, my oath of office, I will just summarize it into 2 sentences. I took my oath of office before God and the people of the Republic of the Philippines. Simple. 1, I have to protect the people. It's a sacred duty. 2, I have to preserve the integrity of the nation. Kaya kayong mga abusayab, kayong mga the abusayab you're a bunch of criminals. You do not have an ideology and you have corrupted your religion. Do not give me that shit because, like you, I am part Moro. That is not the way the teachings of Islam and Allah wants it to be. Kayong mga drug addicts, do not destroy my country, I said. Do not destroy the youth. Kasi karamihan dito sa atin, you know, how much do you receive when you retire? Ako wala sa GSIS lang. I do not have any retirement. Presidents have no retirement. Pero kayo, the disadvantage for you is that you have to retire at 56. I know, but alam ko because I'm almost a part of, my father was governor for 2 terms. and had a close rapport with the soldier, PC, yung mga security niya, and the army in Mindanao. Alam ko, nakikita ko yung provincial guard. At 56, you marry late, then because of your duties, you try to limit the number of your children, which is also very commendable. But sometimes, when you retire, ang anak ninyo nandyan pa minsan sa high school or in the early years of college. You think that the salary, the pension that you receive will last you until kingdom come. How long do you expect to live in this world when you retire at the age of 56? If God looks with you with favor, okay, I'll give you 90 years old. Where do you get the money to feed yourself? You'll have to ask your children. Now is your duty to what the very same things I did for my mother. In her dying days, I took care of her. And yung iba, we cannot be assured really of a good life with me coming in, flowing. We have to borrow money for the mortuary expenses. We have to borrow money to buy sometimes if it is unexpected. And yung style na pre-need plans, only if you have the extra money to pay the installments until mamatay ka. Those are the social impact na hindi nakikita nitong mga tanginan to. Kaya galit ako. By what universal right? By what right? Even if you don't believe in God. What right do you have to cook shabu and destroy the life of my children? And sometimes it brings out the worst of them by committing crimes because they have to have the money if they need the fix that moment. At pag wala, magnanakaw, magpapatay. Tapos yuri a criminal who is responsible for. Do you think that if I go in a warehouse and you are cooking shabu, what the hell do you still need? I need. What needs to be done? Alam mo, meron akong kwento sa inyo. In Davao, I eradicated them. To me, they are pests. You eradicate insects. Davao is quite free. But mabuti ang Davao kung ano. I have been to Davao. It's at 12 o'clock, everything closes. It's a quiet life there. You do not see any person walking on the street. If you have been to America, most of you, napunta doon. Gano? It's because I do not have the patience for criminal. I've been a prosecutor for 9 years. I was doing trial work. I saw the agony of a guilty person going scot-free, buying government, fiscal judges and all. And how would you I mean, when they look at you and they would measure you as if everything is perfect for government and it has everything it needs to fight for its preservation. Meron tayo niyan. Ngayon, meron ang koleksyon natin malaki. But the backlog sa inyong pension is trillions. I have to produce that money. And I will reveal to you for the first time, ayaw ko kasing magyabang. I do not want you to nurture any gratitude to me. I do not need it. I do not want you to nurture loyalty to me. I do not need it. People are saying I'm doing it because I want to ingratiate my... No, the people of the Philippines elected me. There is no need for me to be closer than what is really normal in your hearts. I just love my country and I do my duty kasi hindi lahat nagiging presidente. Not every man is lucky enough to reach the presidency. Alam ninyo yan, wala akong pera. As a matter of fact, minsan sinabi ko, at totoo ito, I regret running for the presidency and winning it. Lately, gano'n na ang salita ko. Because I have fired so many of my friends who supported me in 1988 to become mayor and who were there in the hustings during the campaign to help me be president. And yet, when as payback time, I gave them positions. Ang masakit, what is painful, is that they were the one urging me to run. I did not want to run. I do not need it. I've been mayor for 23 years. I've been a congressman, a vice mayor. I am finished with that accolades and clapping of the hands. It does not mean to me anything at all at this time. If I do something, you do not have to congratulate me. I do not accept as a matter of personal and official policy, I do not accept awards. Why? Because I am paid to do exactly what I did or what am I doing. Yan lang po. I'm an ordinary guy. I do not have an outstanding out. As a matter of fact, all these years, I'm not trying to be funny. The highest that I got was about 78. It's always 75, 76, 75, 76. From kindergarten to high school. Wala pa ka. I'm just an ordinary guy. I finished law. I studied. Maybe God was always kind to me. Pero, come to think of it, your defense secretary is a valedictorian. When he was studying, he's an Ilocano, but he comes from Ilocano ng Mindanao, from Piquet. You have Secretary Esperon. A lot of you guys are graduating with honors. Most of you there are magna cum laude or cum laude. Me, 75. But you know what? Sometimes God can be sarcastic. Makes you an ordinary person, opo, presidente ka. You are surrounded by brilliant people, mga valedictorian, mga kung ano-ano na dyan. And when you sit down, okay, I have a problem. Yes, sir. Okay, General Samato, General Anyo, Secretary ba niya, go to Boracay and clean the place. And God would say, that is what I like. A guy who is barely 75 there giving orders to valedictorians. Diba? Okay. So that could be the irony of life. But maliit lang. What I'm trying to really say is as a paradox. I'm not into something. I'm just an ordinary person. Ang ka-level ko lang yung ordinaryong tao. But if there is one thing that I believe is of course, I'm not saying this because andyan si Mr. I believe in God, but that God must not be the one that the other people would like to picture it. My God is compassionate, understanding, and all. And my God, the one who created me, just said, you just stay simple. You're born of, you're lucky that your father became one governor, but there's nothing really to be extra in everything. Just stay there. And so if there is anybody who understands the soldier, ako yun. Sa totoo lang. And you can ask, Bato, he arrived about, he was a second lieutenant. When he got married, I was his ninong. He knows me, and everybody of you who passed by Davao, Delfin, Lorenzana, kilala na ako by the tips of their fingers. They know me in and out. So that I now say that as we pursue these initiatives that will modernize our Air Force, I call upon all valiant PAF personnel to continue performing your duties to the best of your abilities, especially as we address the current challenges of terrorism, extremism, and other extra threats. Let us work together as one team so we may effectively uphold our sovereignty and protect the safety of our people at all times, at all costs. As you fly and soar to the great heights, to the skies, bring with you the aspirations of our people for a better and brighter future, especially for our children. Nandito na tayo sa gitna. You are in the maybe few chapters away. Pero ako, nandyan na ako sa prologue or in the last pages where we sometimes in our thoughts, yung extra blank dyan. When I was in the law school, and I would say that, love of country, it brings us to beauty. It brings us closer to God. Congratulations at mabuhay kay lahat.